most drug candidates don't make it to market. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's crucial to be prepared for it. Now, here's the question: how do we deal with this? Welcome, science enthusiasts. Thank you for tuning into the Smart Biotech Scientist podcast. It's your front row seat to the fascinating world of bioprocess development. I'm your host, David Brühlmann, and whether you are a seasoned scientist or just curious about the cutting edge of biotechnology, you are in for a treat. You know that feeling when you are onto something big in the lab? That moment when you realize your research could revolutionize cancer treatment or tackle a rare disease that's been puzzling to scientists for decades. It's electrifying, isn't it? That's the magic of biotech. The potential to transform lives through innovation. That's what's getting me out of the bed every single day. But here's the thing. That eureka moment in the lab is just the beginning. The path from discovery to market is, well, let's just say it's not for the faint of heart. I experienced that firsthand. One day, our boss dropped a bombshell. You'll have the pleasure of doing a quick and straightforward technology transfer. Piece of cake. We'd already produced clinical batches years ago, so what could possibly go wrong, right? Oh boy, we were in for a surprise. This journey turned out to be anything but a cakewalk. Picture this, standing there with the confidence of past technology transfer successes, I looked at the process ahead. It should have been smooth sailing. But guess what? The technology and quality requirements had evolved so much over the years. What once seemed like a robust process now looked like a fragile house of cards, ready to collapse with the slightest breeze. And unfortunately, that was the reality. And you know, time was not our friend. We couldn't just head back to the lab and fix everything. So there we were, plunged into the chaos like tightrope walking without a safety net. Desperation and determination were our new best friends as we tried to patch things up on the large-scale facility. Yes, we tried to develop the process in the large-scale facility. That's not my suggestion, so don't repeat that mistake. It was a risky gamble, far from the ideal way to handle a tech transfer. I learned a critical lesson that day. In biotech, process development isn't just important, it's everything. Ignore it at your peril. If you're knee-deep in clinical studies, which is likely the case if you are a small company, in particular a startup, thinking you can push scale up to the back burner, think again. That's a one-way ticket to failure. Prioritize process development. That's what I want to remember. If there's one thing you walk away with, prioritize process development. But don't worry, that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. Whether you're a scientist thinking about commercializing your research, or an entrepreneur diving into the biotech world, or just someone fascinated by the industry, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. First up, let's talk about the roller coaster ride that is process development. You've got this amazing molecule, right? But now you need to figure out how to produce it efficiently, consistently, and at scale. And oh boy, the clock is ticking, and your funding isn't finite. It's a bit like trying to bake the perfect cake while someone is constantly changing the recipe, the oven temperature, and the ingredients, all while a crowd is waiting impatiently to taste it. Sounds stressful? Well, I guess so, yes. But here's a tip. Start with the end in mind. Craft a solid CMC development strategy and don't be afraid to reach out to mentors and advisors who have been through this before. Their insights can save you months of trial and error. Now let's talk about another challenge that keeps many biotech founders up at night. Selecting the right cell lines, the right reactors, and process parameters. It's like solving a multidimensional puzzle where each piece affects all the others. Imagine spending months perfecting your production process at small scale, only to find it failed spectacularly when you try to scale up. It happens more often than you think, and it can set you back months, if not years. And in the worst case, it could even mean the end of your project. Here's the thing, don't rush this stage. It's tempting to push forward quickly, but taking the time to thoroughly evaluate your options can save you major headaches down the road. Consider working with a CDMO for some of this work too. They often have specialized equipment and expertise that can accelerate your process. Prioritize process development. Are you enjoying this episode? I've got a quick favor to ask. If you're loving what you're hearing, why not hit that pause button for just a moment? Head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a review. It means the world to me. And speaking of reviews, I'd love to share one from a fellow listener. Julia from the UK writes, I love my weekly dose of the Smart Biotech Scientist podcast. I enjoy hearing and learning from my peers in the biopharmaceutical development field, gaining new insights and perspectives on CMC development challenges, tech, and strategies. Highly recommended for anyone looking to stay ahead in the biotech industry. Thank you very much, Julia. We're thrilled to be part of your biotech journey. Now back to our episode. Now let's shift gears and talk about something that I know is on every founder's mind. Balancing investors' expectations with regulatory hurdles. On one side, you've got investors eager for quick returns. On the other hand, you can't cut corners when it comes to regulatory aspects. It can feel like being stuck between a rock and a hard place. Investors want to see progress every quarter, but the FDA doesn't care about your funding rounds or your burn rate. My advice? Well, communication is key. Be transparent with your investors about the regulatory landscape. Educate them on the process and set realistic expectations. At the same time, engage with regulatory bodies early and often. A proactive approach can help smooth the path and avoid surprises. And this is particularly important when you're developing a new modality, such as a cell and gene therapy. And speaking of surprises, well, let's talk about the constant race to market. In biotech, being first can make all the difference. But here's the catch. Rushing can lead to costly mistakes. I've heard stories of companies so focused on being first to market that they cut corners in their preclinical studies. It ended up biting them during clinical trials, causing delays that cost more than if they'd done it right the first time. So what's the lesson? Yes, speed is important, but not at the expense of quality and safety. Build in buffer time for unexpected setbacks, and always prioritize the science and patient safety over speed. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: development failures. In biotech, they're not just possible, they are probable. The reality is that most drug candidates don't make it to market. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's crucial to be prepared for it. Now, here's the question: how do we deal with this? First, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If possible, maintain a pipeline of candidates. I know this can be challenging, in particular if you're a startup company. You might just have one shot. Second, pull in the right expertise from advisors, consultants, and CDMOs to minimize the risk. Now, I know we have covered a lot of challenges here. You might be thinking, wow, is it even worth it? But here's the thing: for every challenge in biotech, there is a team out there solving it, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. And what are the rewards? Well, they are incredible. Not just financially, but the impact you can have on patients' lives. It's truly life-changing. So how do you navigate all these challenges? It comes down to two things: expertise and strategic guidance. The biotech landscape is complex and ever-changing. So having the right expertise on your team can make all the difference. But here is the catch: as a startup, you might not have the resources to bring on a full C-suite of experienced executives to prioritize process development. That's where concepts like fractional leadership come in. Imagine having access to C-level expertise without the full time cost. Intriguing, right? But that's a topic for our next episode. We'll dive into innovative solutions for biotech startups, including how fractional leadership could be the game changer you have been looking for. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with some actionable advice you can implement right away. Number 1, start building your network now. Attend biotech conferences, join industry associations, and connect with other founders. The relationships you build today could be your lifeline tomorrow. I just recently had an interview on this podcast with the guest I met over LinkedIn. I didn't even attend the conference. I just started to interact with that person and eventually became a contact. And now, well, it led to an interview on my podcast, and perhaps down the line, it will even lead to a collaboration. Who knows? So start building your network now. Number 2, develop a robust risk management strategy. So identify your critical risks and create contingency plans. This will not only help you navigate challenges, but will also impress potential investors. Number 3, invest in your team's continuous learning. You know, the biotech field evolves rapidly, so set aside time and resources for your team to stay updated on the latest developments in your area of focus. I wired in the habit to learn something new every single day for at least 30 minutes. If you do that, over the course of a year, you will spend about a month's worth of work learning. That's massive. Number 4, practice clear, concise communication about your science and your business. Because being able to explain your work to both scientific peers and non-scientific investors is crucial. And finally, number 5, take care of yourself, my friend. Because the startup journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Make sure you're maintaining a healthy work-life balance to avoid burnout. Enjoy your weekend. Have some fun in the evenings. Go meet some people. It's not all the time about science. But remember, always put process development at the forefront. It's the cornerstone of your project's success and the key to transforming groundbreaking science into real-world therapies. Simply put, prioritize process development. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you found this advice helpful, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And please tell us how you like this episode by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or on the platform you're listening to, because your review means the world to me. I love hearing from you. Just book a free 30-minute assessment with me using the link down in the show notes. So thank you once again for tuning in. Until next time, keep dreaming big and experimenting. All right, smart scientists. That's all for today on the Smart Biotech Scientist podcast. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on your journey to bioprocess mastery. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. By doing so, we can empower more scientists like you. For additional bioprocessing tips, visit us at smartbiotechscientist.com. Stay tuned for more inspiring biotech insights in our next episode. Until then, let's continue to smarten up biotech.